Kenneth R. Timmerman is a political writer and conservative activist who was the 2012 Republican nominee for U.S. Representative for the newly redrawn Maryland's 8th congressional district, facing the incumbent Chris Van Hollen, a Democrat. Timmerman lost to Van Hollen in a landslide, 33% to 63%. In 2000, Timmerman was a candidate for the Republican nomination for U.S. Senator from Maryland. Timmerman is executive director of the Foundation for Democracy in Iran, an organization that works to support democratic movements in Iran. He authored Shakedown, Exposing the Real Jesse Jackson. Timmerman has also written on the spread of weapons of mass destruction in the Middle East. He is currently an expert at Wikistrat. He ran for lieutenant governor of Maryland on a ticket with businessman Charles Lawler in the 2014 Maryland gubernatorial election. The Lawler-Timmerman ticket finished third in the Republican primary. Early life and career. Born in New York in 1953, Timmerman obtained a BA from Goddard College in 1973 and an M.A. from Brown University in 1976. He moved to France, where he pursued a career as a novelist, publishing a novel called Wren Hunt in 1976 and a novella called The Iskra Scrolls in 1980. Middle Eastern defense correspondent. In the early 1980s, Timmerman became a Middle East correspondent for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and developed an expertise in the Middle East and the arms trade. In 1982, he was taken prisoner for 24 days by Fatah guerrillas in Lebanon. He was the first journalist on the scene when Islamic militants bombed the U.S. Embassy in 1983. From 1985 to 1987, Timmerman was a correspondent for Defense and Armament, Newsweek and Military Technology, covering the Iran-Iraq War and the arms industry in the Middle East. He won the Joe Petrosino Prize for Investigative Reporting in 1987 for an investigation of an Iranian arms procurement group. From 1987 to 1993, Timmerman published the Middle East Defense News and was international correspondent for Defense Electronics. He also wrote monographs for the Simon Wiesenthal Center on efforts by Iraq, Syria and Libya to acquire weapons of mass destruction. Author and activist. In 1991, Timmerman published The Death Lobby: How the West Armed Iraq After the Gulf War. Timmerman advised the United Nations Special Commission for the Disarmament of Iraq on the location of weapons plants. In 1993, Timmerman returned to the U.S. where he worked as a member of the staff of the U.S. House Committee on International Relations. In 1995, he founded the Foundation for Democracy in Iran with Peter Rodman, Joshua Murivchik and Iranian opposition expatriates to attempt to topple the Iranian government. He founded the Middle East Data Project to advise governments and private companies. In 1998, he made suggestions to the Rumsfeld Commission supporting the deployment of a national missile defense system. In 1998, he wrote a piece on Osama bin Laden and his training camps in Afghanistan just before Al-Qaeda attacked 2 U.S. embassies in Africa. He also wrote features for the American Spectator criticizing the export of high-technology equipment to China, which was published as a book in 2000. In 2000, Timmerman sought the nomination of the Maryland GOP to run against Democratic incumbent Paul Sarbanes. Timmerman won less than 10% in the party primary. Paul Rappaport won the Republican nomination but lost to Sarbanes, who won with 63% of the vote. Timmerman wrote Shakedown, Exposing the Real Jesse Jackson as a change of pace from his focus on international issues in 2002. The argument claimed that Jackson alleging connections with criminals and claiming that Rev. Jackson practiced extortion of businesses. It proved to be highly successful, making the top 10 bestseller list with 200,000 copies printed. It also reached the top of the Amazon bestseller list. In 2003, Timmerman published Preachers of Hate, Islam and the War Against America. The French Portrayal of America was published in 2004. Timmerman returned to his field of greatest expertise with the publication of Countdown to Crisis: The Coming Nuclear Showdown with Iran in 2005. On February 7, 2006, Sweden's former Deputy Prime Minister and Liberal Party leader Per Ahlmark asserted that he had nominated Timmerman for a Nobel Peace Prize, along with UN Ambassador John Bolton, for the repeated warnings and documentation of Iran's secret nuclear buildup and revealing Iran's repeated lying and false reports to the International Atomic Energy Agency. The Nobel Foundation won't confirm nominations, however, until 50 years have passed. Bibliography: The Wren Hunt Brands Head Books, 1976-1982, ISBN 0-905220-323. The Iskra Scrolls Novella, Handshake Press, Paris, 1980. Fanning the Flames, Guns, Greed, and Geopolitics in the Gulf War, syndicated by New York Times Syndication Sales, 1987. Published in book form as Ollins Feuer International Waffengeschäft im Gulfkrieg, Oral Fusseli Verlag, Zurich und Wiesbaden, 1988. ISBN 3-2800-18404. Le Grande Fauche, Le Volume de la Haute Technologie Editions, Plom, Paris, 1989. The Poison Gas Connection, The Chemical Weapons Programs of Iraq and Libya, Simon V. Senthal Center, Los Angeles, 1990. The Death Lobby, How the West Armed Iraq, Houghton Mifflin, Boston, 1991. ISBN 0-395-5935050. The BNL Blunder, How the U.S. Policy Allowed a Bank in Atlanta to Finance Saddam Hussein's War Machine, Simon V. Senthal Center, Los Angeles, 1991. Weapons of Mass Destruction, The Cases of Iran, Syria and Libya, Simon V. Senthal Center, Los Angeles, 1992. Selling Out America, The American Spectator Investigations, Ex Libris, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 2000. ISBN 0-7388-28580. Shakedown, Exposing the Real Jesse Jackson, Regenery, Washington, D.C., 2002. ISBN 0-89526-1650. Preachers of Hate, Islam and the War on America, Crown Forum, 2003. ISBN 1-4000-49016. The French Portrayal of America, Crown Forum, 2004. ISBN 1-4000-53668. Countdown to Crisis: The Coming Nuclear Showdown with Iran, Crown Forum, 2005. ISBN 1-4000-53684. Shadow Warriors.